Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Cole suffers a medical crisis, and Nikki asks Victor for one final present Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Today, on The Young and the Restless, Nick invites Sharon to France, Victor snubs Michael, and Kyle offers Victor a deal. At Nikki's party, Claire gushes to Kyle about his toast to his grandmother. Kyle tells her his words were genuine. He's grateful for everything Nikki has done for Claire. Her heart is as big and beautiful as hers. Claire tells him he's touched hearts tonight. At a table, eating, Victor tells Nikki that Claire went out of her way to make this a special evening. Nikki gushes about Kyle's toast. Victor thought it was cloying and realizes he was trying to get him to approve of his relationship with their granddaughter. And he doesn't. Nikki's upset that Victor thinks Kyle's toast was a manipulation. Can't he let go of his suspicions for one moment? He will do anything for Claire, including standing up to the great Victor Newman. What will it take for him to give him a chance? At the bar, Claire thinks Victor must have been moved by Kyle's toast. Kyle figures he didn't believe a word he said, given he's an abbot. No one's as good as a Newman in his eyes. Claire tried to kill the Newmans and he was able to forgive her. Kyle says that's because she's his blood. They decide to focus on the party and talk turns to Pietro. Claire realizes the planner is signaling her. Kyle tells her he has one more move for Victor. Across the room, Chelsea tells Adam she has the perfect way to distract Victor away from smearing Billy. She saw the way he was looking at Kyle during his toast. If looks could kill. Adam notes, his father asked him not to sell his apartment to Kyle and Claire. Switching gears, Adam pulls Chelsea onto the dance floor. Sharon and Nick watch them before Michael and Lauren walk up. Michael accuses Nick of avoiding him all night. Lauren says her husband is doing what's best for their family. Nick is disappointed, but notes it's not the first time they've taken a break from each other. He hopes someday he'll come back. Lauren interjects, "Not if I have anything to do with it." Elsewhere, Devin and Abby discuss the Abbott remodel with Diane and Jack. Devin gets a text, and he muses that Lily's also been invited to Dumas's party in France. Just then, Victoria calls out for water as Cole appears to have trouble getting his breath. Once he's seated, he starts coughing and gasping. Victoria wants someone to call 911, but Cole protests, "No." Victoria and Claire help him upstairs, as the guests hover, concerned. As the subject changes, Michael tells Nick to be on his toes about Dumas and his invitation. They were invited too, but Victor made it clear he didn't want him there. At the bar, Nikki tells Kyle how moved she was by his toast. Kyle asks to speak with Victor alone, but the mustache is irked. Tonight is about Nikki. Kyle feels the talk between them can't wait. Victor says there's nothing to talk about. Nikki purrs. "Victor, please. Talk to Kyle. Do it for me." Across the room, Ashley, Abby, and Devin discuss Dumas' creepy invitation. Devin wants to look him in the eye and let him know he's not afraid. On the dance floor, Adam complains to Chelsea about Nick stepping on his toes. She guesses he doesn't approve of him and Sharon. Adam doesn't think anything is going on there. She teases that he's just as oblivious as his brother about Sharon's feelings. Nearby, also dancing, Nick and Sharon discuss Dumas's invitation. He says he may be making a play for Chancellor. Sharon says Nikki's involved, so it's personal. Nick wishes they knew who they were fighting. Sharon thinks the invite could be friendly. Nick argues he could be luring them into battle on his turf. He's hoping this will reveal more about the man and his motives. In a corner, Esther tells Diane that Kyle and Claire are adorable, and she's back in the family fold. Diane thanks her for their talk before. At the bar, Ashley joins Nikki and Jack. Nikki says how much Kyle's toast meant. She just wishes Victor could get past his issues with him. At the bar in the club dining room, Kyle tells Victor that Claire planned this party and hopes he'd see him in a new light. He can't see past his hatred of his family. There was a time they got along. He told Claire it wouldn't work. Victor agrees. Kyle will do something that shows how committed he is to his granddaughter. You believe in the language of contracts and binding agreements. He's willing to make him a deal, so that I may love your granddaughter freely. Kyle will put it in writing that if he hurts Claire in any way, he'll leave town. Victor asks how that's enforceable. Kyle is a man of his word. Victor doesn't believe a word he says. Kyle will pay damages then. He'll give him $5 million if he breaks Claire's heart. Claire appears as Victor hisses, $5 million! In the lounge, Chelsea's still convinced Adam is bothered by Nick being Sharon. He complains that she's been through a lot lately. Nick's made it clear he's not interested in getting back with her. But she's right about Sharon not being on the same page. Chelsea hopes Nick will change his mind. Nick is a good guy, she reminds Adam. Sharon would be lucky to have him. Adam muses, not as lucky as you. On the dance floor, Sharon marvels that she's found her footing again. Nick hopes Phyllis and Tracy can find theirs. It makes him so mad to think of all the people Martin Laurent hurt. At a table, Abby and Ashley discuss Martin. Abby knows her mother has a plan to get help. She just wants to know if she's okay. Ashley reassures her. Abby gets a text that Dominic needs her and she has to go. Ashley reassures her she'll be fine and waves her on her way. At a table, Michael approaches Diane and tells her she looks stunning. She tells him she's glad he left Victor. She knows he did it partly for Jack. They embrace, and Nikki watches. At the bar, Nikki turns to Jack and tells him it looks like his wife is expressing her gratitude to Michael for leaving Victor. Jack thinks Lauren deserves some of the credit. Lauren, beside them, admits Michael is having reservations. She says, Nick may be right in that Victor won't let him go without a fight. Upstairs, Claire tells Kyle and Victor that her father has had some kind of relapse. Victoria is going to stay with him in a suite. Victor doesn't like this idea. There's no point in her getting sick. Claire worries she should be with them. Kyle assures her that her dad will be okay, and they hug, and Victor shoots a look of disdain in Kyle's direction. He offers his personal physician. Claire says if it gets worse, that would be great. He warns her not to get sick. Claire thanks him, and they express their love. Victor tells Kyle he'll consider his proposal and toddles off. Claire asks, "What proposal?" In the lounge, Sharon wishes Nikki a happy birthday, and they discuss Faith, Noah, and Summer not being able to make it. Sharon says she's surprised to see Chelsea back with Adam, who was adamant that would never happen. Nikki slyly replies, "Just as adamant as Nick was about the two of you getting back together?" Across the room, Nick tells Chelsea that his brother doesn't deserve her, but he's happy if she's happy. She's determined not to let him go back to the dark side. At the bar, Jack tells Adam he's heard Newman Media is gunning for Billy. Adam admits his new COO has a soft spot for his brother. He warns Jack to be careful with Michael out of the picture. His dad still has the knives out for the Abbotts. At the bar, Ashley and Sharon exchange pleasantries. Ashley wonders if the aftermath of Martin is easier for Sharon because she's a therapist. Sharon wonders if she's worried about Tracy. Ashley sometimes wonders if it's too easy to get swallowed up by the darkness. It's a lot. Upstairs, Abby and Devin say goodbye to Victor at the door. Victor thanks Devin for putting aside his differences with him to attend for Nikki. Devin lets him know he and Lily were invited to Dumas's party in France. Victor grunts that Dumas should bring it on. Back in the lounge, Victor gives Nikki the update on Victoria and Claire being with Cole. He thinks it seems like the beginning of pneumonia. Jack calls for everyone's attention and tells Victor he won't say anything he won't agree with. Jack makes a lovely toast to Nikki. She's one of his heroes and one of his dearest friends. "Tonight, I celebrate you. Happy birthday, Nikki!" Everyone cheers. Adam tells Chelsea they should call it a night. Chelsea suggests a last drink upstairs. They'll get tacos and go to the Overlook on the way home. Lauren and Michael wish Nikki the best year ever. Nikki's grateful for their friendship. Michael thanks Victor for his hospitality. He doesn't respond. Nearby, Sharon asks Nick about the party in France. She's sorry to miss it. Nick suggests she come as his +1. Sharon, intrigued, asks, "Are you serious?" He says, "Yeah, why not?" At the bar, Victor crabs about Jack's pitiful toast as he and Diane say goodnight to Nikki. Esther follows and hugs Nikki goodbye. Upstairs, Claire tells Pietro everything was perfect. He tells her that her young man is a keeper. Kyle joins. Them and the planner teases that he does weddings before leaving. Claire asks Kyle again about his proposal to his grandfather. He says he made him an offer he hopes he doesn't refuse. In the lounge, Nikki gushes to Victor about the lovely charm bracelet. Victor tells her she taught all her children and grandchildren to love. She taught him how to love at all. She softened his hardened heart. Nikki asks about his talk with Kyle. Victor says he tried to change his mind by offering to sign a contract stipulating that he wouldn't do emotional harm to Claire. Nikki sighs. He's just trying to speak his He's just trying to speak his language. For him to accept those kids' relationship would be the ultimate present. "Please, do it for me, darling." Victor kisses her cheek. The early morning sun spilled over the Abbott estate, bathing the glistening dewdrops on the rose bushes in golden light. Cole Howard stood on the patio, his face stoic yet contemplative. It had been years since he'd returned to Genoa City for more than a short visit. This time it felt different, more permanent. But something inside him was stirring, a dull ache in his chest that he had brushed off for weeks. Victoria Newman had asked him to stay a while, to consider writing again, maybe even teaching at the university. He'd laughed off the suggestion at first, but the truth was, he'd grown tired of running from ghosts. Genoa City held pain, but also memories that, though bittersweet, were part of his soul. As he sipped his coffee, the ache returned, sharper now. A burning pressure in his chest made him grip the edge of the table. He thought it might pass, like before, but this time it didn't. Within seconds, Cole collapsed to the floor, the mug shattering beside him. Emergency at Memorial. When Victoria got the call, she was at Newman Enterprises discussing international expansion. Nate Hastings entered the room, his face grim. "Victoria, it's Cole. He's been taken to Genoa City Memorial. Chest pains. They're not sure what's happening." She froze. For a moment, all her corporate poise melted away. "Is he alive?" "Yes, but it's serious." She was in the car within minutes, dialing Nikki before she'd even buckled. Her seatbelt. "Nikki, it's Cole. He's in the hospital." Nikki's breath hitched. "What? What happened?" "I don't know. I'm on my way there now. Meet me." The Newman matriarch hung up and stared out the window. Her past with Cole had been complicated. He was once married to her daughter, and in a twist of fate and confusion, he was once thought to be her son. Now, years later, Nikki's feelings were murkier than ever. But family came first. Ties that bind Victor Newman stood in his office, sipping a neat scotch as he reviewed the latest quarterly report. The last thing he expected was Nikki bursting through the doors with tears in her eyes. "Victor," she said urgently, "Cole's in the ICU. Something happened. His heart." Victor raised an eyebrow, but moved toward her swiftly. "Is he going to make it?" he asked. "I don't know. But Victor, listen to me. I need something from you. One final present." Victor's jaw tensed. "Nikki, what are you talking about?" She sat down slowly, her hand trembling as she reached for her purse and pulled out a letter. Old, faded, but carefully preserved. "It's from Eve Howard. I never gave it to Cole. I thought it was best to keep it buried. But maybe that was a mistake." Victor took the letter and recognized the familiar handwriting. "Eve, I think this letter might give Cole something he's been searching for. Peace. And if he doesn't make it, Victor, He deserves to leave this world, knowing the truth. ICU Confessions Victoria hovered near Cole's bedside, her face pale, her hand gripping his. Monitors beeped rhythmically, each sound echoing through her bones. "You're going to pull through," she whispered. "You always do. You're too stubborn not to." He stirred faintly, eyes fluttering open. "Vic, I'm here. I thought I was dying. You're not. You're safe. You're going to be okay." The door opened, and Nikki stepped in quietly. Behind her, Victor followed, holding the letter. "Nikki?" Cole rasped. "I'm here," she said, taking the other side of his bed. Her eyes glistened. "And I have something for you." She nodded to Victor, who extended the letter. Cole's hands trembled as he took it. He glanced at them both before reading. The final truth. The letter was short but haunting. Eve had written it during her final days, revealing that Victor was not Cole's father after all, a truth that had once torn the Newman family apart. "Cole," it read, "I lied to protect you from Victor and from myself. I thought by claiming Victor was your father, I'd secure your future. But the truth is your father was a man named Thomas Harland, a journalist I once loved but couldn't stay with. Forgive me, Eve." Cole's breath caught. "So, all those years," he began. Victor cleared his throat. "I didn't know she had written that." Cole chuckled bitterly. "Of course she did. Secrets and lies. That's the Newman legacy, isn't it?" "Maybe," Victor admitted. "But your family either way. For the first time in decades, something shifted between them. Not forgiveness, but understanding." Revisiting the past over the next few weeks, Cole began his slow recovery. Nikki visited daily, bringing him soup, old photos, and sometimes just silence. One afternoon, she sat by the window watching the rain. "You remember when we all thought you were my son?" she said softly. Cole smirked. "Yeah. Talk about twisted. I was devastated. Not just because of what it meant for you and Victoria, but because I always felt a strange connection to you. A maternal one. Even before the rumors." He nodded. "Maybe because you were always the only one who saw through me. Maybe. But I want to ask you something." He looked at her, curious. "When this is over, when you're well, would you do something for me? Name it." "Live." Victor's gift. Victor had always been a man who solved problems with money or muscle. But this was different. He reached out to an old friend in Washington, pulled strings, and arranged for Cole to meet Thomas Harland's surviving family, a half-sister named Lydia. She flew to Genoa City a week later, uncertain but open. They met at Society, where Cole sat nervously with Nikki and Victoria beside him. Lydia entered, tall, dark-haired with Cole's eyes. Their conversation was cautious at first, then warmed quickly. Stories were exchanged, timelines confirmed. It was real. "I always wanted a brother," Lydia said, her voice catching. "I always wanted a truth that wasn't covered in lies," Cole replied. Letting go with new family and clarity, Cole began to write again. His next book, part memoir, part exposé, was titled The Weight of Names. It became a quiet bestseller. Nikki came to the launch, standing in the back, quietly proud. Later that evening, he found her on the patio at the Grand Phoenix. "I never thanked you," he said. "You don't have to." "I do. You gave me the final piece of the puzzle. That was the greatest gift anyone's ever given me." She smiled, reaching up to touch his cheek. "You're not done yet, Cole. The world needs your words. And I need you to stay in. My life. I'm not going anywhere." Echoes of what was Victor watched all of this unfold from a distance. He hadn't changed, not really. But he understood now that love wasn't just about control. It was about legacy. And part of his legacy was making peace with those he'd hurt, intentionally or not. One evening, he met Cole in the Newman ranch study. "I read your book," he said. "I was worried you'd sue me." Victor smirked. "I thought about it, but no. You earned your story." They shook hands, not as enemies nor as father and son, but as men who had survived a war neither of them chose. The final present months later, Nikki's birthday arrived. Victor handed her a box wrapped in black velvet. Inside was a small locket, silver, engraved with the initials CH. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "I wanted you to have something to remember this year by. The year you saved a life." She touched his hand. "Thank you. I didn't do it for Cole. I did it for you." "I know," she smiled. "And that's why it means everything." Outside, Cole stood with Victoria, watching the snow fall. It wasn't a Hallmark ending, but it was real, and for once, that was more than enough.